Hey everybody, how's it going out there? Welcome to Movies and Music with AJ. My name's AJ. Thanks for watching. And we're back today with another horror movie reaction. And you know what? It must be Carpenter week, because earlier this week we watched John Carpenter's They Live, and now today we're watching Halloween from 1978, a film that could probably be alternately titled They Die, because I imagine there's going to be a lot of slashing going on in this movie. So this is my first time watching Halloween, the original 1978 film that kicked off a decades-long beloved horror franchise. But this is not my first time watching a film that's part of this Halloween franchise. So I've gotten into this a bit in some of my previous horror reactions, but despite being a lifelong fan of films, I was never really a horror person. Certainly not as a kid, and I'm in my 30s now, and throughout my 20s I really wasn't much of a horror person. But there was definitely a period of about 5 years during my adolescence where I was into horror, but it was more new release contemporary horror, and that would have been from about 95 to like 99 or 2000. So in that span of time, I of course managed to watch the film Halloween H2O. I think that came out in 1998, hence the H2O. It's 20 years after the original, which although as kind of a science nerd in school, I always thought it was a little bit silly that it was called Halloween H2O, because you know H2O is the chemical formula for water. 2 hydrogen molecules, 1 oxygen molecule. So yeah, I remember just thinking, so is, the killer in this movie going to drown people? I don't think that happened. Although now that I think about it, a slasher film where the killer goes around just drowning people, that might be actually kind of interesting. You could probably do some things with that. Like make it like a Saw type of movie where he's making all these puzzles and killing people in creative ways, but it all involves water. But anyway, yeah, that's a tangent. But yeah, so I remember watching that movie. I'm sure I enjoyed it, but I'm also sure that plenty of the references just went totally over my head, not being familiar with any of the previous movies in this franchise. And I know there's a grip of movies in this franchise. H2O might have been, I don't know, the 5th or 6th, maybe even the 10th one in this franchise. I know there's a lot of them. So yeah, I can't even begin to keep up with what the continuity would be. So it's a good excuse to go back and watch the original one. And yeah, I know there's a couple recent Halloween films that were, if I believe, written and produced by Jody Hill and Danny McBride, who, they're the creative minds behind Vice Principals and Righteous Gemstones. Those are 2 of my favorite shows. They're both on HBO. They are dark comedies. They're hilarious. They're amazing. So well written, so well acted, hilarious. So yeah, I think I want to get into those films just because Jody Hill and Danny McBride are behind them. Before I even try to watch any of those films, I just feel like I have to go back and watch this original. So that's part of the reason, my motivation for watching the original Carpenter 1978 Halloween. And also I've just been having a really fun time watching Carpenter movies. This is going to be my 5th Carpenter movie on this channel. Watched Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, They Live, and at Halloween, I said 5th, I guess 4th. It's going to be my 4th Carpenter. So yeah, speaking of watching Carpenter films, that's exactly what we're here to do today. So let's go ahead and do that. Without further ado, this is going to be my reaction to John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978. Let's go. Ooh, just right out the gate with that iconic Halloween theme. Is there anything that is as alternately more silly and creepy at the same time as a jack-o'-lantern? I like how the nose of this jack-o'-lantern kind of is in the shape of a knife, if you think of the line to its mouth as the handle of the knife. Haddonfield, Illinois. Don't know where that's at. Halloween night, 1963. Interesting. Again, same thing with Friday the 13th when I watched that. These movies starting out like a good 15, 20 years in the past. And then something happens and then we skip forward to the present day. I'm liking this handheld camera. Feels like someone's walking right up to the door. Maybe this is somebody walking.
We are alone, aren't we?
Michael's around someplace.
Yeah, this has to be someone's perspective we're looking through, right? Is this the killer? Turn around. Oh, is this a little baby Michael? That would explain the tiny arm.
Michael?
Oh, there's my answer. Knife is half his size. Jeez. That'd have been great if that's just his costume as an adult killer as well. Smiths Grove, Illinois. Don't know where that is either. The day before Halloween. That would have been cool watching this in theaters, because it came out like the week before Halloween, I believe, in 1978. So like you could have been watching this on the day that it takes place. What do we have here?
You ever done anything like this before?
Only minimum security.
I see.
When they start raving on and on.
He hasn't spoken a word in 15 years.
I wonder why he did it.
Just trying to understand what we're dealing with here.
Don't you think we could refer to it as him?
If you say so.
You mean you actually never want him to get out?
Never, never, never.
Shouldn't we go on up to the hospital and...
Wait!
There's a aspect of this score. It's like in the background. It's a little faint. It just sounds like sprinklers. There's a man climbing on her car. Oh! Yeah, hit that gas. He just took the car? I guess that's all he wanted. This is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Don't forget to drop the key off at the Myers place.
I won't.
I haven't seen Jamie Lee Curtis in much, I don't think. One of my favorite movies as a kid in the 90s was True Lies. Really quintessential 90s action film, you know? The horse chase through the hotel, it's just perfect action cinema, you know what I mean? But yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis was great in that film as well.
Coming over tonight?
Same time, same place.
Where?
The Myers house.
The Myers house.
You guessing that's the Myers house? Yep, looks like where we just were at 15 years earlier.
You're not supposed to go up there.
Yes, I am.
Lonnie Hughes said never to go up there. He said awful stuff happened there once.
Lonnie Lamb probably won't get out of the 6th grade.
I gotta go.
I wish I had you all alone.
There he is. So of the Carpenter I watched on this channel, this is the first one that's actually a proper horror film. And this feels very different from the other Carpenter films I've watched so far.
Well, he was your patient, Doctor, and precautions weren't strong enough. You should have told somebody.
I told everybody! Tell him exactly who walked out of here last night, and tell him exactly where he's going.
Now, for God's sakes, he can't drive a car.
He was doing very well last night. Maybe someone around here gave him lessons.
Fate caught up with several lives here. How does Samuel's view of fate differ from that of Costain? Answer the question.
Costain wrote that fate was somehow related only to religion, whereas Samuels felt that, well, fate was like a natural element, like earth, air, fire, and water.
That's right.
But also, can we get to the masked creepy man standing across the street?
Like a mountain, it stands.
The composure to be able to answer that question and answer it eloquently while having just been freaked out by that masked man.
Don't you know what happens on Halloween? Yeah, we get candy. Boogeyman, ooh, the boogeyman, the boogeyman, the boogeyman.
Oh, come on. There's the boogeyman. It's amazing how little you need to create an iconic character, in particular a horror villain. An iconic piece of clothing, maybe a mask. Really, the hard work is in the creativity to come up with it. But the actual execution, like this is just a black jumpsuit and then he has that white mask. So simple yet so effective.
He's on his way. You've got to believe me, officer. He is coming to Haddonfield. I'm his doctor. You must be ready for him. If you don't, it's your funeral.
Or, at the very least, a few of the other townspeople, I'm sure.
Hey, Linda, Lori, why didn't you wait for me?
We did. 15 minutes. You totally never showed.
That's not
Totally.
true.
I forgot my chemistry book.
So who cares? I always forget my chemistry book and my math book and my English book and my...
Man, people in the 70s used to have hair.
Hey, isn't that Devon Graham?
I don't think so.
Hey, jerk! Speed kills!
Halloween Kills. Isn't that the name of the one that just came out?
You know, Annie, someday you're gonna get us all into deep trouble.
You know, Annie, someday a guy in a black jumpsuit with a white mask and orange hair is gonna stab us all. This part of the score sounds very Carpenter-esque. I like that I've watched enough of his films at this point now to know sort of what his trademarks and calling cards are as far as a music composer.
I don't see anything.
I drove by so fast that one you yelled at.
It's not gonna be there.
Lori, dear, he wants to take you out tonight.
Oh, he's gonna be taking some of them out, I'm sure.
He was standing right there.
Poor Lori. Scared another one away.
Ooh.
Excuse me,
Oh,
Laurie.
Mr. Brackett, I'm sorry, Mr. Brackett.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Yes, sir. Well, kiddo, thought you outgrew superstition.
How many of us really actually ever outgrow superstition? I just feel like we move from childish superstition into more adult-approved superstition. We might not even realize we're doing it. Him and Batman should have a disappear off, so you can best just disappear from a scene in the blink of an eye.
Hello?
This is Mike Myers. I'm here to stab you. Do we ever hear his voice? What does his voice sound like?
Who is this?
That's a tiny bed. If I had a twin bed, I would definitely fall off at least once or twice a week. But I just sleep, I'm a mess when I sleep. I'm just all over the bed. I'm not that much of a car person, but when I look at cars from the 60s and 70s, they just look so much better aesthetically than cars nowadays.
Little Lindsay Wallace won't know what hit her.
Man, she's gonna be high and being chased by a knife-wielding killer in a mask when your paranoia is actually warranted. I don't know, just Mike just drove right on past. Hiding in plain sight. I like that we haven't gotten a good close-up look at him yet. It's definitely a horror sort of trope or cliche, but it's a good one, you know? Keeping the monster obscured, never giving us a good look until it's too late, you know? You know, that moment when he's really wreaking havoc and he's just in full-on killer mode, that's when we get a good look at him. Up until then, he's just kind of in the shadows and in profile, and you're just kind of left wondering, like, you know, what is he gonna be?
Does anybody live here?
No, not since 1963 when it happened. Every kid in Haddonfield thinks this place is haunted.
They may be right. Standing on the lawn, he could have seen inside.
Oh, shit. Oof. I think we've just entered the portion of the movie where I just have the chills and I'm gonna be a little freaked out.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the devil's eyes.
I'm sure young Michael and Damien from The Omen would have gotten along swimmingly. I just watched that movie a couple weeks ago on this channel.
I think he'll come back. I'm gonna wait for him.
Michael just gonna Michael, isn't he?
Lori, the boogeyman is outside. Look.
What was she watching? Citizen Kane? Howard Hawks? One of my favorite films, His Girl Friday. The Thing? Is this before or after Carpenter made his version of The Thing? This would have been before, huh? That's wild. That's like calling your shot, you know?
What about the boogeyman?
There's no such thing.
I need to really look into why the word boogie is used to both describe a scary figure, but also like a really up-tempo, upbeat genre of music. It's amazing how doors are something that we use every day, multiple times a day without thinking about it. But in the right context, you can make a door terrifying.
I'm in the laundry room. The door won't open. You locked yourself in. Oh, my foot. I'm stuck.
Now promise me you won't tell anybody about this.
I don't think she can make that kind of a promise.
She got stuck in the window.
That promise lasted all of
Hello?
10 seconds.
Oh, hi.
I still don't even know what Tommy's Halloween costume is. I cannot tell. Ninja, cowboy, astronaut. I can't figure it out. It was unlocked that time. She didn't even lock it. Unlock it, I mean. He's definitely in there, isn't he? Breathing heavy. Oh, jeez. That face. I don't know what Michael Myers' deal is as a killer. How much strategy is he using? Is he just pure brute force? I mean, clearly he's like hiding behind corners and like hiding in cars, so there's like some thought to it. But at the same time, he just chokes that lady with one hand and just lets her just honk the horn and doesn't seem to really care that he could be drawing attention. It's like a weird mix of like some thought, but like also no thought at all. Yeah, what do you do if you look out the window and you see that? Never just sneak up behind somebody and touch them. Like, you gotta let people know from a distance, hey, I'm coming, you know, it's like...
Put me down! This is totally silly!
Totally! Come on, Miguel, where are you? There he is. Brown chicken, brown cow. Well, we're well over an hour into this movie and only one person's been killed so far, right? I mean, not including the opening scene.
Annie?
Nope.
Oh?
Annie can't come to the phone right now. Annie's dead.
Come on now.
Okay. Is he just pinned against it? Wow, that takes a lot of strength. Put the knife all the way through him. Oh, jeez. I'm guessing he had a lot of time to lift weights in the asylum. Put the glasses on just for good measure.
Hello?
This is what I mean by Myers not having any strategy to what he does. Like, he just let somebody on the other end of this phone call hear that.
Annie? Annie?
I guess he's just confident that he's gonna kill everyone and anyone that comes in his path, so he doesn't really even need to worry about being seen or being heard. Because his whole deal is, I'll just kill all the witnesses.
Bob? Linda? Most definitely stop being funny, now cut it out. Be sorry.
Sorry. What's she gonna find? She's gonna have all the bodies just all lined up. Oh, that's the gravestone of her sister, or his sister. Oh! Still one more body, right? At least. Oh, there it is. Wouldn't you kind of think this was a prank, though?
Can't you hear me? Oh God!
Oh, they're gonna... Just takes his time.
Upstairs. Right upstairs, get Lindsay, lock the bedroom door. Do as I say!
Gonna get him with some sewing needles. Oof. That was easy. That can't be it, right? She better be careful. She's gonna get framed for those murders if she's holding the knife.
I killed him.
Did you though?
You can't kill the
I think he's right behind you. I mean, he's got like superhuman strength apparently. He could just easily bust that in. Oh, there we go. Grab the knife.
I want you to go down the street to the Mackenzie's house. I want you to tell them to call the police and tell them to send them over here.
I saw his face.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Oh, come on. Just Batman'd again. That's probably how it ends, huh? Just keep watching those stairs. Oh, we can hear his breathing. Creepy. Nice. It's kind of weird that he just walked away, though. He's like, it's not worth the trouble. I've gotten stabbed and shot and poked in the eye with a clothes hanger. So I'm just gonna move on. Alright, good movie, fun movie. There were some things that I expected to see. There were things that caught me by surprise. We'll go into that in a second. But first, before we get into the review, before I get into my thoughts on this film, I meant to mention this during the introduction, totally forgot. But, you know, this being Halloween season, this being Halloween the movie, and this being a music channel, in addition to being a movie channel, I'd be remiss not to mention and to recommend to you guys a series of playlists that I found on YouTube recently. So yeah, it's called Lo-Fi Halloween Mix, Dark Lo-Fi Hip Hop Beats by Dated. There's 3 of them. The third one just came out earlier this month, and it is on the channel for Ill-Advised Records. So yeah, if you like lo-fi hip hop beats, even if you don't, and you just want to get in the Halloween spirit, try giving this music a shot. It's just really good, atmospheric, sort of minimalistic hip hop beats that just has like a nice spooky Halloween quality to it. So I would definitely recommend that if that vaguely interests you. But anyway, let's get on to the movie. Yeah, I mean, it's just fun having finally gone back and watched this movie. I was saying in the intro that, you know, there was a period for the back half of the 90s where I was into contemporary horror of the time. And you can't talk about the mid to late 90s and contemporary horror without thinking of the movie Scream. Of course, it's one of the most iconic horror films of the 90s. Now, having watched the original Halloween, having grown up watching Scream a bunch of times, it's easy to see where that influence comes from and where the homage is and, you know, what's being referenced. And it's just really fun to be able to make those connections finally. You know, just the idea of like, you know, all the tropes and things that they sort of deconstruct in Scream. It's like, you know, why does this character do this? You know, why is she running up the stairs when she can run out into the neighborhood? You know, Scream, I feel like Scream dealt with a lot of that kind of stuff and, you know, sort of being meta and sort of poking fun at the genre and its tropes while also fully embracing them at the same time. So it's just good to see, after having grown up with the deconstruction, to go back and actually watch one of the films that actually constructed it, you know what I mean? Like, while watching this, I had to keep reminding myself, I kept seeing things that were tropes, and then I'm like, yeah, that's, you know, kind of a cliche, but then I have to realize, but yeah, but this is probably one of the first movies that actually did that, so it was not a cliche when it was doing it. You know, this movie was innovating in a lot of ways. You know, it is very much in the Carpenter mold of that he's just very minimalistic and sparse. I feel like he's very to the point with his films. I don't want to say they're superficial, but there's not a lot of fat on the bone when it comes to a Carpenter film. He just gets to the point, gives you exactly the details you need. And it can be a little frustrating at times where I would like a little more backstory. I'd like to know a little bit more. But I think that whole thing of like giving backstory, I feel like that's a more contemporary phenomenon. You know, I feel like movies nowadays are, you know, two and a half hours long, especially blockbuster films, because they're trying to fill in so much backstory. And it just feels like back in the day, you got more 90-minute films that were just quick and to the point, and you didn't really get to know the characters that much. I think it was enough just to know that these are just normal, everyday people, and they're in a terrifying situation, and what more do you need to know? So yeah, in that way, it's very much like the Carpenter films that I've come to watch, but in a very different way. The three films that I've watched previous to this one from Carpenter, all from the 80s, they had very much a distinct style where I can watch those three and I can now look at them and go like, oh, okay, I see the through line. Like, this is all very distinct to Carpenter's tone and his voice and his style. Much in the same way you watch David Lynch and you know you're watching David Lynch. You watch Quentin Tarantino and you know you're watching Quentin Tarantino. I feel like the three films that I've watched with Big Trouble in Little China, They Live, and Escape from New York, I feel like watching those now, I can be like, yeah, that I get it. That I'm definitely watching a Carpenter film. He just has that unique voice. I feel like this movie, Halloween, and it came out before those films, I don't know if it was a case of he was still developing his voice or if it's just because it was a straight-ahead horror film that it didn't have those touches. It didn't have the quirk and the kind of oddball humor and, those touches, those sort of oddball, quirky touches that I associate with those other Carpenter films. This one was just much more straight ahead, which, is what you need. If you're just trying to create that menacing, horror tension, then yeah, there's not a lot of time for joking around and having that quirk to it. So I don't know. I feel kind of conflicted about it, that it wasn't as Carpenter in terms of what I expect from him, but it was still, in terms of what it was going for and being just a tense, anxious movie, it did accomplish that. I can definitely see the influence on future slashers that I've watched that came out way after this one. But anyway, I think I'll go ahead and leave it there for today. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you want to follow along with more of my reactions, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. Signing out for today, this has been Movies and Music with AJ. My name's AJ. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.